Hey guys, Tom with Permaculture Wilmington here. I got a job to do today. We've got a little water building up next to this back door. So my job I've been tasked with is to keep the water from accumulating in this area. And we're also going to be building a little paver slab in here, a little patio, and raising the elevation up just a little bit with some rock and sand. So that way when people come out of the house they won't have to walk in water. And then we're putting some compost tea into the ground. I'm drilling a few holes and getting it down in there with a little nutrition, a little hay, and we're also using some oats, some fresh oats and some ground oats. Really just waste for the most part, but the other oats that I'm using are whole oats, so they're actually straight off the oat plant and very nutritious for the microorganisms. So, but what we're doing is using nutrition to get the microbes to colonize in these pockets that we're making, and I'm using an auger here. So you guys can take a look, but what I'm doing is basically I made the homeowner put bricks that you see where all the moisture accumulates in the yard, all these dips in elevation, and we've actually determined that the high part is up here. So this whole area is a big slope coming down, but the problem is it's a little wonky. So it goes this way and that way, and it actually steers water towards the house. So what we're going to do is build this area up so that the water will actually stay more channeled in this way, and then we're going to build a little walkway coming into the patio, and then next to the walkway, because the water accumulates mostly over here, we're going to be building a little bit of a trench and filling it with some pebbles. I think she's got some river stones or pea pebbles, but we're going to be filling that trench with the pebbles next to the sidewalk, and that way any water that comes in and accumulates is going to be trenched down through a swale, and we're going to just kind of have it come this way and then out here. And then she's going to be using her irrigation or her drainage system for the roof here. The gutters are actually going to drain into a collection system, so maybe an IBC tote or some kind of other water collection system. But very exciting about that, and to be able to help people out like this and help them provide food for themselves and turn their yard into something beautiful. But just a few problems that she felt that she had, and I'm helping her work them out. And that's mostly just standing water, which is a compaction factor. We went down about 1 foot and we found that that she had topsoil. Before she bought the house, the people brought topsoil in. So there's actually like a foot of just beautiful black soil. And then underneath that black soil is just this flat layer. I mean, there's like no transition, no gradation. It goes from beautiful black soil to straight sand. I mean, it's just white sand. In terms of you see the transition. So for you guys that are interested, this is actually the compaction layer here. So this soil is black. This is the topsoil that's been here for about 20 years now. And this should be a gradation. It should go black all the way, and gradate down into the sand. Whereas it's not gradating, it's just staying this consistent transition, very definitive line. So what that means is that this is a compaction layer right here. And this is the reason that we had standing water. So you guys can see, so this is like the really nice soil. This is beautiful soil. It holds together, has good form, nice moisture content. And then right underneath that, where there was basically there was just one transition line, there was no gradation, and then it's just sand. Like that's just straight sand. There's nothing to it. There's no organics in that, no silt. If we did a texture test, I would almost guarantee there'd be very little, maybe 5% silt in that. So, all right guys, but that's what we've been tasked with. I've already got a couple of these spots in here where I just filled it with straw and some grain and put a lot of compost tea. We've got a couple buckets over here of compost tea that we made. It's got hydrolysite in it, so I'm pretty excited to get that in the ground. But here, I'll give you an idea of what we're doing. Check this out. We've got a differential in soil textures. We've got very nice black soil that's had microbial life thriving and just doing a great job of creating fertility for the vegetation on top. And then underneath that, there you can see this transition into very unfertile high drainage sand, which is the subsoil, which is the way it's supposed to be. So technically this isn't bad, but there should be some kind of gradation between the two. It shouldn't go from one to the other very quickly. So in that situation, I believe that identifies with a layer of compaction. So my goal here is to just get enough nutrition into the hole and enough microbes to colonize this area and to loosen the soil over time. And it's been identified that this is not going to be an overnight thing. So because she does want the water accumulation to be addressed quickly in terms of her clients going in and out of the house, I'm going to create a little diversion ditch now going into lower elevation, which is basically down towards the back of the yard, because the whole yard is at a constant slope going this way. So this is high concentrated, it is not diluted. Non-diluted, very concentrated. Pour it right into the hole. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that actually does not drain. So normally in a situation like this, in real healthy soil that's well above the water table, that would not be standing quite so long. So that means there is still compaction down there, guys. This is some kitchen waste that the homeowner gave me. This is actually like 5-year-old oats that were found in the back of the pantry. But there's nothing that's better for microbiology in the soil than human kitchen waste. So all these things that we're using in the kitchen, like vegetation, these are all things, all the seeds, the grain, the oats, they're all things that we can put into the soil. I'm putting the drill in reverse so it forces it down. I don't want to use oats on the very top because it'll just make a little patch that sprouts. A little more compost tea in there. High concentrated microbial solution. Very, very good for soil. All right. So just to give you guys an idea, it's still not. It's standing for a while now. It's not draining. It should be draining a little better than that. It definitely does in my yard. So. That's how I know, guys, if soil is well draining, that should not be sitting there as long as it is. It should be at least going down a little bit every few seconds. But it is not. It is standing. So what we need to do is just let the microbes do their thing. I did go through with a garden fork and aerate the soil around these areas as well to make sure that it was well aerated for the microbes. But you can see it's still very wet, and that's about a 2-foot hole altogether. So a 2-foot hole, pouring that much, just a half a cup of this water, or the microbe solution, the compost tea, and that should not be as muddy on top. That should have drained a little better than that, but you know, that's why we're here. We're here to make this better. So with a little time and a little nature, a little biology, we're gonna make that happen. So next comes this trench we're gonna make. So guys, the goal is to get the compost tea to go underneath the layer of compaction, according to some of the soil scientists I've been following. So the fact that we can only go down 2 feet with the auger that we have means that we may not be below it. So it might take a little bit longer for the microorganisms to work down to it. But with that in mind, we're still doing what we need to be doing. We just might not be doing it to the level where it could be as fast as possible. So just keep that in mind, guys. If you need to do it, you got to work with what you got, right? And that's what we're doing.